perform better. So this is what I felt like operationally. Like if you engage your employees more with your work and in the group, the performance comes out better. Sir.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So actually, I was, just little while ago around lunchtime, I was reading a story from the rebellion of 1857, and so there was this story about 23 soldiers, 23 freedom fighters who were in Etawah in UP. They were in a house, and so the British forces were just passing by, and the British forces did not know that in this house there are 23, Indian freedom fighters hiding. So they could have just passed by. But these 23 people, they were not somebody who would just hide themselves. They wanted to ensure that because the British were going to capture, I think, Kanpur, and they had to put or at least slow down the British. So they, from that, whatever they had, guns and small fire, they started firing on the British, and the British obviously stopped and they fired back. And then they told them that you are surrounded. There is no point fighting. You surrender. So they refused. They kept fighting. And then the British said that we will bomb you. We will use cannons to bombard and destroy this entire building. So they still refused. And they kept firing. Finally, after 3 hours of firing, the British got their cannons and bombarded the entire building, and the entire building collapsed, and all of the 23 freedom fighters, they died.
So
So I was just wondering that what kind of spirit those people had, that they could have easily just kept quietly and hidden in the building, but instead they decided to engage with the British, and they fought, and then they kept firing for 3 hours till their entire building was destroyed.
mm,
So that is a discretionary effort. That is an effort which they could have easily not done, but they decided to make that extra effort, and it ignited a energy, a power, a motivation, which maybe generally people don't have.
generally,
But
yes.
yeah, so it's really an amazing story. And also I've seen that in work environment also. This is of course in a war situation, people are become very different. But even in a normal work environment, when there are challenging projects, when there are timelines to be beaten, some teams really rally to go and achieve what they have been asked to do.
Okay.
So yeah. Great. So I will move on. Let's understand now, what ensures this discretionary effort and what ignites the energy that people have, but mostly it remains dormant, but sometimes it gets ignited, and people can then achieve a lot if they wish to. So here is a study by a very famous HR consulting company called Towers Perrin. The Towers Parent, basically they looked at two set of companies. In one set of companies, they found that the employee engagement is very high, and another set of companies they found that employee engagement is quite low. And then they looked at their uh, financial performance. So the bar which is in dark blue, in navy blue, those are the companies which have a high level of employee engagement. So they covered this across 3 years. I think 2004 to 2007, something like that. So so across 3 years, they covered companies with high engagement and low engagement. So they saw that the companies with high engagement, they grew 19.2%, while the companies with very low engagement scores, they dipped minus 32%. Then similarly, next year they saw it's 13.7% growth, and a dip of minus 3.8 for the companies with low engagement. And third year they saw that it was 27.8 and minus 11.2. So basically, what the message is that if you have highly engaged workforces, then that starts showing in your financial results also. And if you have low engagement, that also starts showing on your financial performance. So basically, it's good for any company to ensure that their talent is engaged and they are delivering their 100%. Now, Vidut, which company do you work in?
So I work for India Tourism Development Corporation.
Yeah.
It's a India Tourism Development Corporation.
Oh,
It's a
yeah, right. ITDC.
Sir.
Right. Yeah, you had told me your office is CTO complex.
That's CGO complex.
Yeah. So, y- right. So, I'm not sure what is the level of engagement in ITDC, and I'm not sure if you measure it regularly. But there are many companies which have an employee engagement survey. They generally do it with Gartner because Gartner is supposed to be the most well-known employee engagement surveyor. And and then once the scores come out, those companies look at who are the managers who have got a high score and what are they doing because of which they have a high score, they have a high engagement score. And then there are some managers who have a low score, and then there is an investigation also into why they have a low score. What is it that they're doing because of which they have a low score. So both of these situations result in multiple actions, and so that because generally the company, any company on Gartner, they want to be about above 75% engagement, 75% employee satisfaction scores, or 80%. So they look for high scores, and which is also a reflection on the level of engagement that people have. There are also other surveys like Great Places to Work, GPTW, and there are other companies which have now come up which do a similar kind of survey which Gartner does, and they tell you that how satisfied the employee is, and do you would that place classify as a great place to work. And also nowadays there are various categories like for diversity, for as a startup, or uh, s- GPTW, great place to work in specific industries. So there are subcategories also which have come up. So therefore, this is a survey that happens in many organizations, and they actively track how satisfied employees are. So moving on, let's look at what ensures that employees are engaged, employees are satisfied, and employees are willing to share that discretionary effort which we talked about, and that extra energy that we talked about earlier. So, so before we do that, there is a very important statistic, again from Towers Perrin study. So, which says that unfortunately only 21% of this is based on the US workforce, and only 21% are uh, engaged. So, which actually is telling us that 79% is not fully engaged. Then you have 41% who are enrolled. By enrolled, what we are trying to say is that people who are in the, they are as a formal employee of the company. They are in uh, the list of employees. But are they people who are actively engaged? No. So 41%, as you can see, is a huge number. You know, then you have 30% who are disenchanted, who are not interested, who are unhappy. You know, and you have 8% who are actively disengaged. So the disengaged people are actually harmful because they are negative. They are they are actively negative, while the disenchanted are negatively oriented but may not be actively negative. But 8% are very harmful for any company because they are disengaged and they are actively negative. So these are the people who share negativity, who produce negativity, who say that अरे यार इस कंपनी में तो कुछ नहीं होना, चलते हैं किसी और कंपनी में. Or they regularly badmouth every practice that a company does. So that is the 8% who are very harmful. 30% are unhappy. मेरा प्रमोशन नहीं हो रहा, तनख्वाह नहीं बढ़ रही, यार कोई फ्यूचर ही नहीं है यहाँ पे, अगर कुछ मिल जाएगा तो चला जाऊंगा. So you have those kinds. 41% are, अरे भाई काम करना है, नौकरी मिली हुई है, करते रहते हैं. So they have no enthusiasm that हमें आगे बढ़ना है, कुछ करना है. I'm spending most of my life in this office. Why don't I do something special? Why don't I go and achieve my targets? And then you have 21% who are really engaged कि आगे बढ़ना है, आगे करना है, कुछ करके दिखाना है. I have to show my best. I have to convince my manager that I'm ready for promotion. I want growth, I want engagement, I want to achieve, I want to run initiatives, I want to do projects. How can I improve my KPIs year on year? So you have the 21% people who are really engaged. I think earlier we were talking about Pareto, that 20% employees generally drive the organization. 80% of the results come from 20% of the employees. So you can see that it is true over here also. Though, uh, I had not seen the statistic from a Pareto angle, but like Pareto says that 80% of achievement happens through, 20% of effort. So, but the 20% is a really good effort. So here also you have 20% of employees who are driving 80% of the probably the results of the company, because only 20%, 21% are engaged. So does it ring a bell? Have you seen something similar at your workplace?
Yes, sir. Probably in my corporation, it'll be a little different. Statistics would be a little different from what we have here, but it's almost similar to what you say.
Okay. Okay, great. Actually, it is quite similar everywhere. I'm really surprised that while this is, they would have focused more on the US market, but it is quite similar everywhere. And because of these statistics, I believe every year the US, the US corporates are losing anywhere between, 300 to 400 billion dollars of productivity, because people are not engaged. Even that effort, the discretionary effort which we talked about, if they are not making that effort. But if they make that effort, then the productivity will increase significantly. And if productivity increases, then naturally the profitability also improves significantly. So, okay. Now I see that Somendra is here. Somendra, any thoughts from your end, from your experience so far? Agree, disagree?
Sorry, sir, just joined, so I'm not able to connect properly.
Okay, okay. Fine, fine. We will come back to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so these are very critical statistics which we need to bear in mind, when we are dealing with employee engagement. So let's move to see some more statistics. So employee engagement, engaged employees are very critical, as we say, as we discussed. So they are 6.5 times more likely to identify their organization as one of the best performing organizations in the sector than to identify it as a below average performer. So if you talk to an engaged employee, sometimes even when you talk to an engaged employee, you will figure out that this person is engaged because they are proud of their company. They say that, my company is one of the best, if not the best. My company has achieved this. My company does that. So you can, moment you interact with an engaged employee, you can make out that this person is kind of really likes working for his company. You know, so so they are 6.5 times more likely to identify their organization as one of the best. Sometimes it so happens that the organization they work for may not be the best, but happy employees ensure that they project their companies as one of the best. And of course, there are so many ways of identifying your company as the best. For example, Vidut works um in a company which is, I think you are a PSU, right, Vidut?
Yes, sir.
ITDC is a PSU, right?
Yes, sir. It's a PSU under Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah, yeah. So, but ITDC is a very dynamic company, and India, the tourism has been growing by leaps and bounds. Of course, due to COVID, it's been hit, but otherwise, before COVID happened, tourism was growing in India,
Yes,
and yeah,
but for the period of COVID, we were actually doing very well. The COVID has brought everything thing to the halt, but otherwise, it was a very, we say, sir, a
yeah,
very growth-oriented organization.
right, right. So it is growth oriented, and I think thanks to ITDC's effort, a good infrastructure was coming up in India
Yes,
for
sir.
tourism. So great. Those are certain things which are positive about the company. Similarly, uh, I used to work for a Tata company, and we were actually a division of Tata Power, and compared to other Tata companies, we were not very big, but we were very proud that we are working for the engineering arm of Tata company, which is now working on the new parliament building. So
Sure.
Tata Projects. So when you talk to an engaged employee, you can sense that they are proud, they are happy, they always project their company in a positive light. They are also 1.5 times more likely to stay with their organization for at least 5 years. So the tenure also is more stable, of engaged employees. And they are nearly 2 times more likely to say that customers think highly of their organization's products and services. So suppose this person who's an engaged employee is representing your company to a customer, then chances are that this engaged employee will speak very highly of their products and services and convince any customer that they should buy their products and services. So an engaged employee ensures that you have a engaged customer. So moving on to, on this topic, uh, there is a book which says that engaged employee results in great customer experience. So you can see the statistics over here that employee experience impact on customer experience. So the employee experience impact is 62% on customer experience. And some said it is moderate, 32%, and for a few it is only 5%, and a very small percentage is probably 1 or 2%. So therefore what you can see is that if you have engaged employees, then it's a big advantage for the company, and you are likely to have very engaged customers. uh, so some of these observations are written down below the graph. So it makes for a more productive and friendly environment to have engaged employees. Happy employees make for happy customers. The way you treat your employees reflects the way your employee treats your customers. When an employee experiences feelings of positivity, they are more likely to do great work, innovate, and create a positive experience for customers. If employees are happy, they will do a better job of making customers are happy. So these are all on similar lines, but basically it's saying that happy employees make happy customers. So if you are focusing on improving your customer experience, one way to do it is to ensure that your employees are engaged. Now let's look at how we can engage our employees. So here is, what drives engagement. On two sides, on the left and on the right, you have, structure. So you have the culture of the organization, which is very, very, very important. I cannot overemphasize the culture of the organization. So that is absolutely critical. And so you have, you know, the structure, capacity, capability, all of that are part of the culture of the organization. but and if the right culture is not there in a company, then that company will not have a very good customer satisfaction. And second is equally important as culture, and they are all both of them are completely interlinked, as we can see from the arrows, is your values. What are your value systems? That is very important. Now some companies have easygoing culture, and they may not really have very high values, but some organizations have a very positive culture and very good values. uh, One of the organizations I worked for was GE, and GE had a very strong performance culture. Everybody had to be performing. There was no place for non-performers. But it was not that non-performers were always caught and thrown out, but the organization worked hard to ensure that anybody who is a non-performer becomes a performer. And the culture was such that it was very difficult to continue to be a non-performer, because if you are a non-performer, then HR helped you, your manager helped you, your colleagues helped you to become a performer. And the values were such that you are constantly reminded that your KPIs are critical. That is not something which is good to know. It is something which is critical. You have to achieve. So, having said that, the things which make up your culture and values, also very critical are what is the strategy that you have. You know, what strategy do you wish to achieve? So if anybody knows about the way GE used to be, uh, when Jack Welch was the CEO, he told all the businesses of GE that my simple strategy is, whether you are in turbines, whether you are in aircraft engines, whether you are in medical systems, whether you are in electronic appliances, you have to be number one or number two in your industry. We are not interested in being number three. So if you are number three, then either you have two strategies. One is you try to become number two or number one, or you fold up. You know, you don't have to exist. So, so everybody, all companies were focused on becoming number one or number two in their industry. And how do you do that? One of the very important things is great leadership. You have to have great leadership to drive that zeal. And GE used to work with great leaders. They used to produce great leaders. They didn't get people from outside. They used to ensure that they had the best hiring practices. So they would, when at a hiring stage itself, they would select people who are very good and then groom them to take higher responsibilities, to become leaders. And maybe you are aware that many America's top companies, like Honeywell, Light Signal, big malls like Walmart, etc. Many of their top CEOs are from GE. So because they were taught great leadership at GE, and when they could not grow in GE, they went on to become great leaders outside. But that's why GE is also known as the company which produces great leaders. So great leaders are people who then ensure that there is the arrows are going to and fro, but a great leader ensures that you are upholding the values and the culture of the organization, which then results in great employee engagement, which provides customer experience, and which then provides organizational performance. So they are all very closely interlinked with each other. Any thoughts, any observations on the drivers of engagement? Somendra, any thoughts?
No, it's clear.
Okay. So So we will look at some group drivers of engagement, some individual drivers, and some certain things which leaders are expected to drive to achieve great employee engagement. So one is work processes. Your processes should be clear. If there is confusion, if people don't know what to do, if different people are doing different things, there is lack of uniformity, then people get demotivated. They get disengaged. You know, Next is learning and development. How strong is your learning and development? Are people learning in your organization? Are we making an extra effort to train people? Are we engaging them with a bigger picture? So that is very important. Uh, there was a study which I had done along with my team members, because I used to be part of a learning and development team. So we studied and we found out that all the people who go through learning and development programs, their stickiness to the organization, they're likely to stay in the organization, is a bit higher than people who do not go through learning and development programs. So learning and development is actually an effective tool to retain people and grow people. Next, as we said, is the culture. So culture is very important in an organization. What kind of a culture you have? Uh, Senior leaders, we discussed that senior leaders are very critical. Very often people understand the organization only in terms of who the senior leaders are, because whatever the organization is, while according to company law, a company is actually a you know living entity, just like a human being. But there is nobody who identifies company or the incorporation of a company as an individual. People all look up to the CEO of the company or the leaders of the company to understand what this company is all about. Okay. So the senior leaders are critical. What they say, what they do, how they behave, they are actually role models of the organization. And if they do wrong things, then everybody starts doing wrong. Has anybody heard about the Enron situation? Enron company?
The scam, sir, the Enron, which was a financial scam long back, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, right.
Well,
So,
I
yeah,
loosely came to know about the scams while studying for the financial work, but not actually read about the senior leaders.
okay. So, the CEO and the CFO, his CFO's name was Skilling. So they were actually swindling money. It was an energy company, and they were swindling money, and they were faking all the reports in terms of contracts, in terms of they were inflating the balance sheet. And the CEO apparently is to siphon off money, and he himself, just his house he got constructed at millions of dollars of Enron's money. So there was a lot of misuse, and eventually the company collapsed. And the whole leadership was had this culture. Similarly, in India, many of us have heard of Satyam, and unfortunately, it was called Satyam, but it was full of lies. And it was a IT company uh, led by a person called Ramalinga Raju, and he set all the wrong precedents, the wrong culture. As a result, the company collapsed. Thankfully, thanks to the government of India's efforts, uh, the company was taken over by Mahindra's and is doing quite well now. But it was a wrong example set by leaders who were not very good. Next is communication. This is very, very critical. We may think this is ordinary, but communication is very critical, because if people know what is happening, people are more engaged. When people don't know, they are in the dark, they are not engaged, and they are not interested. So, therefore, this is very, very important. In project management literature, they say that three things make a project successful. Can anybody guess what those three things are?
No guesses, sir.
Okay. So those three things are communication, communication, communication. So if you communicate, there is nothing called excess communication. If you keep communicating, then people are aware, people are aligned, and people are clear. But when you don't communicate, everybody's in the dark, everybody's confused, and they don't know what to do. So therefore, communication is very critical, and that defines the success of an organization. Next is clarity on structure, role, and capability. This is very important. The right person should be doing the right things. If somebody with financial acumen is sitting in HR, and somebody who has a great people connect is sitting in quality, then there can be problems. So the right person needs to be in the right role with the right capability. That is very, very important. Next is reward and recognition. So does the organization appreciate people? Does it express gratitude? Does it appreciate and recognize people for the good work that they are doing? That is again very important. If you do that, people get motivated to do more, people get excited, and people. So Shiv Shankar, before you joined us, we were talking about what reflects employee engagement is discretionary effort. Everybody does X amount of effort when you work, but are you doing an extra effort or not? That depends on whether you are engaged as an employee or not. And are you producing more energy to give to your organization or not? You know, when you have that discretionary effort, when that extra effort is being created, जब हम ज्यादा काम कर रहे हैं, ज्यादा ज्यादा दिलचस्पी दिखा रहे हैं अपने काम में, जब ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट ले रहे हैं, तो हम मेहनत भी ज्यादा करते हैं, ऊर्जा भी ज्यादा होती है, और जो हमारे केपीआईज हैं हम उनको किसी भी तरह से हासिल करने की कोशिश करते हैं. So that is, reward and recognition. Customer focus, this is very, very critical. ये अगर the customer is the reason why a company exists. अगर customer नहीं होगा तो company नहीं होगी. So therefore, customer focus is critical, and you will have customer focus, as we saw in the previous slide, only if you have engaged employees. जो दिलो दिमाग से काम करे, जो employees, then only you will be able to have happy customers.
Yes, sir.
Next is strategy. We discussed that, like GE or many other companies. When I was in Tata projects, our strategy was simple. Our vision was simple. Our vision was that we want to be among the top 50 engineering and construction companies in the world. So I think our revenue was about, uh, you know, 24,000 crores in 2017, and by 2025 we this vision was till 2025. By 2025 we wanted to be 50,000 crores, which is double. So what was the strategy? The strategy was, uh, you know offer the best in the market engineering and construction services at reasonable price points, offer end-to-end turnkey projects, go global, you know, set up. So we set up offices in different parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, etc. Took up projects globally. So once you have a vision, then comes the strategy, and from strategy comes the focus on what to do. And last but not the least, very, very powerful is the immediate manager. Like they say that people leave their managers, they don't leave companies, they leave their managers, and that is very true. And the opposite is also true. People do not stay with the company, they stay with the managers. When they're comfortable there with the managers, like their managers, then they stay with their managers. So these are some group drivers of engagement. Okay, so I will keep moving on, but if you have any observations, any thoughts, feel free to, share. Okay, so next are some individual drivers of engagement. Uh, so the people, when they are engaged, they are committed to the company's core values. The core values should be exciting. It should be, something which excites you, something which, creates a vision for you. So, for example, in one company, the values were very simple. It was always ahead, genuine, innovative, learning, and be entrepreneurial. You know, so being entrepreneurial is, how can you kind of treat the company as if it's your company, and how can you ensure that you are not wasting resources and you're constantly helping in achievement of the revenue. Next is our customers think highly of our products and services. So like earlier we were discussing that engaged employees always speak very highly of their products and services. Third is a person becomes engaged when they feel that their opinion counts. Every employee's opinion counts. Any good organization, you will see that every employee is treated with respect. They are not treated badly. Then if they're treated badly, then people get disengaged and they start thinking of exploring opportunities outside. I have a clear understanding of what is expected of me at work. This is again very important. People need to have a clear understanding of what is expected them of work. So like we saw earlier, the immediate manager makes a difference. The immediate manager is connected with the employee and tells the employee what is expected. I understand how I can contribute to meeting the needs of the organization. So this is again very important. I have been fairly rewarded. Actually, these drivers of engagement are coming from Gartner's survey. So all these observations are coming from Gartner. So this is again very important that I have been treated fairly. If you don't treat people fairly, then people again lose interest. For example, in some companies, what I've seen is that when people are being promoted, some people get promoted not because they're hardworking, but because they are friends with the boss. And when that happens, then the other employees who did not get promoted or were perhaps very hardworking and were not recognized equally, they start thinking of leaving the organization. So fairness is a very important sentiment. You have to be fair and you have to be seen to be being fair. Otherwise, people quickly lose interest. Senior leaders value employees. So they respect employees, they treat employees well. Everyone is treated with respect at work, regardless of who they are. So sometimes I've seen very often that, somebody who's at a lower level, they are not treated well by the senior leaders. Personally, I believe that any senior leader, you can judge any senior leader by the way he treats people who are well below him. Everybody, when you are meeting them formally, they have a smile on their face. They are nice people. They will say, कैसे हो आप, कैसे आना हुआ, कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं हुई, घर पे सब ठीक है. They will ask all those polite questions. But when you see them interacting with people who are 2, 3 levels below them, that is when you find out whether they are genuine leaders who care for their people or they just put up a show. Any thoughts? Vidyut, Somendra, any experience, any thoughts?
Extremely true, sir. I have seen in the Himalaya also. Last 4 years, I am working with them.
Okay.
It is very, very important that everybody is treated well at least. So people feel engaged then. And so all the points, sir, just number 10, my personal work objectives are linked to my work areas, business plan. Please explain this. I am not able to understand it properly.
Okay, sure. I'm coming to this. So, eighth is everybody is treated with respect, which we have already discussed. Ninth is I can concentrate on my job when I'm at my work area. So this is again important because uh, sometimes there is so much disturbance. Sometimes like I go to office early and I see that they are cleaning the office. My workstation is not kept properly. Everything is all over the place. So these are things which should not happen. Everything should be nice and well organized. Last, which you asked about. So my personal work objectives are linked to my work area's business plan. So this is very important. For example, I am a salesman, and I know I have to do 1 crore of sales because overall my department has to achieve 5 crores of sales and I am one of the 5 salesmen. So therefore I have to achieve sales of 1 crore. If I am not able to achieve, then chances are my department together will not be able to achieve. So I should be clear in terms of how my work is contributing to the overall organization. For example, I'm doing a project. My department has, let's say, a target of $23 million this this quarter, and I am a project manager. I am doing a project, so I do not have a direct linkage to the revenue target, which is $23 million this quarter. But as a project manager, I have to ensure that I deliver the project on time. Then only payment will come. So therefore, I know my KPI is timely delivery of the product of the project, delivery of the project with the right quality, and delivery of the project with the right cost. But at the same time, if I am able to do all the three things, then my company will be paid on time and they will be able to make the revenue target of $23 million. So that is how I'm contributing to the overall goals of my department or my company. Is that making sense? Somendra?
It means my KRAs should be linked with the KRAs of my team or the organization as a whole.
Yes, absolutely.
So if I am achieving my KRAs, my KPI is high, it means the overall objective of my team or the organization is going to be met.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Okay, so these are some best practices which promote wellness at the workplace and ensure better engagement. So one is very important is the workload. How is the workload distributed? So in one of the companies where my friend works, it's a startup, and they have been aligned to each person who's customer specialist has been aligned to, let's say, about 30 different companies. So they have multiple clients and they have people who are customer specialists. So they have been aligned to 30 different clients. If anything goes wrong with the client, the client can reach out to him. But initially, when he had joined the startup last year, he had been aligned to 40 companies. And it was very tough for him. He was working day and night, and still most of his clients were unhappy. So eventually, it was discovered that 40 is too much, and then it was cut down to 30. And now it's much better. Things are under control. So every person needs to have an appropriate workload. If you have too much on your plate, then you will not be able to achieve things with the right quality. If you have too less, then you will get demotivated and you will not know how to spend your time. So therefore, the time and motion study in distributing workload should be done properly. Next is the amount of pressure I experience in my role is reasonable. So it should not be too high pressure or too low pressure. If it's too high pressure, then people start cracking up, they collapse. If it is too low pressure, people just take it for granted, and do not deliver their best. Process and procedures promote safe working conditions. This is very important. Organizations should take care of all their employees, that there is a right level of safety. Because if you don't have right level of safety, then there is a big risk that you are running. And then what happens is, even if there is no accident, employees feel that the organization does not care for me because it doesn't take the right precautions. So this is very important. Same with safe and healthy work environment. So I will tell you a story, a small story. So some management experts, they were actually, this was in the 1930s. Some management experts, they were actually doing a project to see that how does the level of lighting impact productivity. So they had a certain level of lighting, and the workers had a X level of productivity. So what they did was they enhanced the lighting for 50% of the workers. And for 50% of the workers, they continued with the same level of lighting. So after about 4 to 5 months, they decided, now let's see the productivity, because 4 to 5 months was enough data. Now let's see what is the level of productivity. So they saw that the workers who had more light, who had been given more light, they were actually 1.5 times more productive than the workers who had similar light, which had been uh, there earlier. So so they realized, they found out that, okay, now it seems that the level of lighting makes a big difference on productivity. But when they spoke to the workers, they got a answer which really surprised them. So what do you think was the answer they got, which resulted in higher productivity?
Maybe that they might be feeling that they are privileged, they are getting good lights.
Yes,
More-
absolutely. You get my chocolate today.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, you're absolutely right. People felt that the organization cares for us. The lighting did not make any difference because they could see properly earlier also. But when the lighting was improved, they just felt grateful that the organization cares for us. And they put in extra effort to improve their productivity. So that is how people feel. When people feel cared for, then they reciprocate that care. But when they feel ignored, or they feel the organization is indifferent to their needs, then they also become indifferent. So next is balancing work and personal interests. So sometimes as HR, you see that there are some people who are really very good with numbers. There are some people who are good with people. There are some people who are very good with processes. So somebody who's very good with process is probably sitting in the sales team, while somebody who's very good with people is sitting in the quality team. So it is for HR to take a few steps and see that if you have a particular inclination or a particular strength, why not use it in a different department or in a different part of the company? So that is something that good organizations do, which improves employee engagement. Then actively promoting health and well-being. A lot of companies are organizing vaccination camps, and that sends out a very positive message. My organization allows me to keep a reasonable balance between my work and family life. So this is also very important. You may have heard of Japanese companies, they some Japanese people love to work very hard. They do 80 hours in a week, so that extra effort which they put in, it is known as karoshi in Japanese. That's extra effort they put in. They work very hard, but unfortunately, this does not allow them to balance their family life and their work life. So nowadays, more and more focus is coming in to ensure that there is a balance between family life and work life. And if the company is able to ensure this balance, then the level of engagement tends to be higher. Some more best practices, when you provide career development opportunities, you may have seen many companies offer you an opportunity to do a MBA so that you stay with the organization. So, I also did a PGC HRM from XLRI Jamshedpur, thanks to the sponsorship I got from Genpact. So, they allowed me to do an MBA. So, L&D support, you train people, you get them the right certifications, you ensure job rotation. This is very important. If people do 2 or 3 different things, every 2 years, every 3 years, then they get excited. They get new things to learn and new challenges to take up. So job rotation has seen that people typically tend to leave a company much less. And this is done in a very structured way in some companies. Internal growth, if you are getting growth in the company, that is very engaging. Promotions, everybody loves the promotion. Then succession planning for fast trackers. So this is again very important, and we will cover this the next session. You should all your best performers, you should see how you can grow them faster and give them greater opportunity. Last but not the least is mentoring and coaching. When you mentor people, you coach people, you are able to bring out the potential that they have, because generally companies just focus on performance, very few focus on potential. But when you mentor people, when you coach them, right, then you are bringing out their potential and converting their potential into better performance. Okay, so any questions so far, any observations, any thoughts? All making sense?
Yeah, sir. Good to know, sir.
Okay, great. So now let's look at one of the well-known companies, Accenture, what they do to ensure people are engaged. In case you can't hear the audio, just let me know. I'm playing this video for you.
How can I pick one thing that I love about what I do?
The unexpected, I would say. The unexpected.
I'm able to learn new things every day and follow my passions and what I'm interested in.
You can learn and develop and grow in ways that you never expected.
You're with really smart people who understand your language.
I think what I love best about what I do is that it actually has the potential to change the world.
Accenture is a place where I can innovate. Accenture is a place where I've been able to take what I love doing, which is creating, to the next level.
I think the impact that you are able to provide is pretty amazing.
Access to big clients and being able to work on big projects where we can actually do real innovation.
We have really dynamic clients, we have dynamic resources, we have dynamic people.
Accenture allows you to work across many different industries.
It's amazing how you work with so many different personalities. Every day I'm working with different people, I'm working on different challenges.
My internship has nothing to do with getting coffee or making copies. I have a very hands-on internship.
I think the question I'd have is, what do you want to do? Because you can do whatever it is you want to do.
You should be thinking about what you haven't learned yet and how you want to learn it and how you want to grow.
If you want adventure, if you want the ability to travel and see the world, if you want to impact companies big and small, if you want to play around with robotics, if you want to work in advanced innovation labs.
When I had my first interview, it was so comfortable. I felt very welcomed.
Some places allow you to really make it what you want and so that you can get the most out of it. And that's exactly how it's been for me at Accenture.
The opportunity to work on these day-to-day, life-transforming things that are happening around you instead of being on the sidelines.
They care about who you are instead of what you are.
We are still learning what it means to live in a very digitally advanced, technology-driven world that depends on innovation. But if you want to figure it out, come play.
Okay, so any thoughts on the video?
Accenture is giving all the freedom to the employees. They are taking care. They are giving a lot of work diversities. They can work with different people. So altogether, they are taking care of their interest and also creating a lot of opportunities for them with all liberties.
Yeah. So, so that is, that is what they are doing, so that people are happy. They are actually engaged more. They can do what is their favorite. Like you saw this person, he was flying a drone. So they can do artificial intelligence and different kind of projects, work with different clients. So there is a lot of learning, a lot of excitement, a lot of opportunity to do what they want to do, and that engages people more. So great, completely agree that that's what they were all about. So, moving on, best practice when it comes to leaders is that the leaders and managers, they need to prioritize engagement. They need to feel that this is very important, because if they don't, then nobody else will. And they need to actively review measures and outcomes. It should not be that when HR tells them, they get interested and then they forget all about it. It has to come from the heart that people are important for me, and I will, ensure that they get opportunities, they are engaged. You would have seen that in the army, what happens is that, the commanding officer is somebody people below him really look forward to. And if whatever the commanding officer says, they do. So there is a huge loyalty to the commanding officer. So that is something which happens because the commanding officer also takes care of his people, and it's a reciprocal view. So therefore, in an organization also, managers and leaders need to prioritize engagement. It should not be absolutely, lower in their priority list. It should be high on their priority list. They should regularly engage with focus groups. They should their ears should be on the ground. They should know what is going on. If people are unhappy, what are they unhappy about? What can be done about it? How can it be addressed? Once I was working in an organization where there were very few women, and the women were very unhappy because there were crazy shifts. People were expected to stay back late. The whole culture was super aggressive, working on weekends and things like that, and women were very unhappy. But nobody knew this, till they got a consultant from outside. That consultant came and did some focus group discussions, and found out that, look, a part of your employees are not happy about what you're doing, and immediately steps were taken to change that aspect of work culture. Similarly, hold managers accountable for engagement levels. So this is very important. Engagement levels have to be driven and driven through managers. So no manager who has a low engagement score should be allowed to continue like that. That manager, he or she, should be encouraged to improve the engagement levels. And we spoke about culture already. So some aspects which we did not speak about is, people are encouraged to pursue creativity and innovation. Active communication means having town halls, business updates, annual days, celebrating festivals together, so and so forth. So, and last is employment surveys and follow-up action. The last three words are very important. Follow-up action. It should not be that whatever score I've got, and then let's move and wait till next year. But instead, whatever gaps there are, one should take action against those gaps and make sure those gaps are not there anymore. So those are some of the best practices. Okay. Okay, now best practices on compensation and benefit. Now there is a lot of literature which is written around compensation and benefit, and they say that this is the most critical in ensuring motivation. I do not agree that compensation is the most critical, but I agree that it is one of the most important, not the most important, but one of the most important. So there are people who are specialists in designing compensation, and how they design the package is very important. What is the base pay which people are going to get? Are you going to have incentives on top of that? Short-term incentives or long-term incentives? What do you think will be the impact of short-term incentives, and what is the impact of long-term incentives? Any thoughts?
Mostly short-term incentive is given for the short-term requirement. If some sales are for some new product is launched, it has to be established in the market. Then we do give long-term incentive kind of thing, because we have to establish a new product. In short-term incentives, if the sales is done altogether, so we give some incentives. I'm taking the example of sales only, so that the deadlines for that month or the quarter is met. And long-term incentive to motivate the employees for a longer period of their stay with the organization, and also to establish some new product or new division.
Right. Absolutely, Shomendra. So short term typically will allow you to achieve, some immediate goals, while the long term will help you to establish yourself with the employee, get the employee to stay with the organization for a longer term, and probably make his chances of leaving the organization that much less. So both short-term incentives and long-term incentives have their benefits, but the benefits are different. Then what kind of benefits do you have? Health benefits, insurance, benefits in case of accident or death. For example, in the Tata company that I used to work, there one benefit they had was if you died in the service of the company, then the company would take care of the expense of your children's education till they graduated, for 2 children. So, so those are great benefits. Then reward for contingent workers. Contingent workers are people who you may need for some short duration, or people who are consultants. So they are equally critical for health of organization because they contribute enormously. So what rewards, how do you want to incentivize them? Now, many organizations are not very innovative. They simply have a flat salary structure. HRA, special allowance, basic pay, that's it. And then you have a annual performance linked incentive. But many organizations nowadays, they are smarter. And instead of having an annual performance linked incentive, what they do is they divide it into every quarter or every month. And you get your additional bonus, etc. if you do some additional work that your manager expects you to do, or you do well, etc. But of course, it is not easy to structure it and easy to implement it. But then many organizations do that quite effectively. And that also ensures when people get that additional payout, they are happier, they are more engaged. Agree, disagree?
Sir, these contingent workers are mostly internal workers or external? Because this is a situational kind of case where you require some expert from outside, or it could be internal also.
Yeah. So see, very often what happens is these are people who are maybe not on your roles, but they may be working with you for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, whatever. Sometimes, like for example, in many uh, big large companies, the IT is outsourced to some company. So the IT engineers who are working in your company, they are typically, their name shows as their email shows that they are consultants to the company. But the consultants are also very important because how they work has a big impact on the company, and you may want to incentivize them. You may want to give them some discretionary payout if they are doing well. So they could be people who are on your rolls, but are not, permanent employees. They are only for a fixed duration, or they could be people who are not on your rolls, but they are working with you for, um, for a fixed duration, but it keeps getting renewed after a certain frequency. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Agreed, sir. In our case, also IT guys are from Wipro only.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
when I was in GE, all the IT guys were from TCS.
Yeah. So these contingent workers can be of the lower level people also, like we are hiring MRs and all from third party. So that could be also contingent worker, or these are experts only.
No, they can be lower level workers also. They could be experts also. They could be, any one of these categories.
Okay, got it, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Oh, sure. Well. Okay, so now there is an activity which I had planned, and I think between the two of you, you can probably think of what are the steps that you'll take 5 minutes and think about it, and we can discuss. So you are the HR manager in a newly opened delivery center in Pune for one of the largest US-based BPO companies, Teletronics. So the Pune center is placed in the middle of an IT SEZ where there are top-tier BPO and IT companies. The workforce is new, but attrition is already quite high, perhaps due to multiple opportunities in the neighborhood, or maybe due to the pressure to perform at Teletronics. So clients are very unhappy about the high attrition rate in the Pune center, and you have been tasked with reducing attrition. One way to improve the engagement level, one way is to improve the engagement level of the employees. So develop an employee engagement program and implement the same at the Pune Center of Teletronics. Team A and Team B will work separately to create the program. So now we don't have Team A and Team B. So Somendra and Vidyut, I will keep quiet for 5 minutes. You can discuss, and then you can tell me what are the steps that should be taken. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I am putting myself on mute. It's all yours now. You can discuss for 5 minutes, and then I will come back and hear from you what are the steps you will take to improve employee engagement. Over to you.
Somendra ji, how are you?
Yeah, fine. I'm fine.
We start with the discussion.
I think we need to promote that. Sir was discussing promote wellness at the workplace first.
Sir.
So we need to have an appropriate workload, I think.
Correct.
So we have to design their working as such that they have an appropriate workload, so that we are taking care of their wellness, and also amount of pressure which we are giving, that should be very reasonable, and the work and the family life balance should be maintained. Along with that, we can also plan some extra rewards if they are working for extra hours. Your thought, Vidyut? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. So
Yeah.
what you said is good. I would add one more thing. I would add learning and development. I would rather focus on learning and development. People should we should have a unique you say what USP for the company, something which is unique, which other companies would not give. And while training and development would inculcate the values to the newly engaged employees, so that they don't leave the company. They feel attracted towards the company. They feel they are the ones, since it will be a new company. So they should be the team which is the inaugural team, or we say the team which starts the work. So they have more engagement if they feel they are a part of the decision making process.
Right.
So my idea would be to involve them more in decision making process, hear out from them what do they want. So we ask their views, and so that we give more priority to their thoughts. They feel more engaged, like right from the beginning of the project. If they are more engaged, so they will feel more aligned towards the company's goals and objectives.
Yeah. So we need to align them with the company's core values. Along with, we have to develop a culture where we are counting their opinions also. So whatever they are saying, we count them, and we should have a clear understanding of what is expected from them and their expectation from the organization.
Correct, right.
Both ways. So these are the things already sir had discussed, I think, in their PPTs.
Most of the things we discussed, sir, in this presentation has already covered various things, and probably using those things itself could be a better could be some sort of engagement for them.
So like that sir has discussed, group drivers of engagement, where work process, learning and development, and culture, senior leaders role. Then individual drivers of engagement sir has discussed. So whether the employee is committed to company's core values or not, their opinion counts or not, clear understanding of what is expected of them, they should be fairly rewarded and all. Senior leaders value implies. Then promote wellness and work at workplace. And then, as you were saying, provide career development opportunity like L&D support for growth and productivity, job rotation, internal growth, successors planning, mentoring, and coaching.
Some sort of vision ahead, like 5 years, they form to be a part of some senior level in the corporation. Everyone sees a growth in the company.
Yeah.
We can also create role models and artifacts. The culture in which they see their role model who has risen from some place. Stories of role models could be told to them.
Yeah, great leadership.
Yeah. I think they should be enough to start. Probably there could be like few more things, but then initially these should be good enough.
Yeah, right.
Then we wait for sir to join back and can take the discussion further. Sir will have his own inputs as well. I think not many people have opted for talent management. Most of them must have gone for.
They have opted, but there might be some problem. They are not joining, I think.
No, even in the
most of them, as far as I know, they have opted this talent. But all my colleagues and all, they have opted for this only.
Okay, but they don't to be appearing for the classes because
they are not joining. Actually, I was not well for last 20 days. That's why I was not joining. Otherwise, this was a very good class.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we are ready, sir. If you can join.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I just got back and I was on mute. So, were you able to discuss?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. So, what are your recommendations?
So we have to ensure the employee engagement. The employees are engaged, and for that, as you have already told us, the drivers of engagement we have to ensure the drivers of engagement, the culture of the company and the people system and process, the culture and the values, so that employees are able to inculcate with the culture and process, the value system. Because as for the case, there are a lot of attribution rate is very high. So
Right.
here we have to ensure the group drivers of the engagement, as you discussed, sir, work process, learning development, culture, role of the senior leaders, communication structure, and also for individual drivers that everybody should feel that their opinion is counting, and they understand the company's core values and they are committed for the companies, and senior leaders are giving values to they are listening, as Vidyut was saying, their opinion and their voice is heard, they are welcomed, whatever they are saying, they feel that their feedback is very, very important. And also, as we were discussing, so we need to promote wellness at the workplace. So there is an appropriate workload, there is an amount of pressure which is very reasonable, and there is a work and family life balance over there. And also Vidyut was saying, as you have also discussed, we need to provide career development opportunity like L&D support, job rotation, internal growth, and also there should be a succession planning for fast trackers who are doing well. And also, and not the least, the mentoring and coaching. Vidyut, you want to add something?
No, you covered all my points as well. Like you beautifully covered all the
These
points.
are the things, sir, you have already discussed in length.
From your presentation itself, sir. Like
Yeah.
Right. Right. So I agree with you. Only one thing I would like to add is that, as you can see, this is a company where they have just set up and they are facing attrition, which is making business difficult because attrition results in leakage and people are joining and leaving the organization. Now, so culture and values, take time to seep in. So one of the things you will need to do is to do something urgently, which will have an immediate impact. So there you can have a compensation structure which allows people to get additional payouts if they achieve their KPIs. And also, like we talked about, long-term incentives, where something like a deferred income plan can be introduced, that if you stay in this organization for 1 year, you get X amount as a, like for example, you get gratuity if you stay in a company for 5 years. Then for every year you get 50% of your basic pay. But instead of that, you have every year that you stay with us, you get a X amount. And then of course you have gratuity and superannuation and all those other benefits. So you can add the compensation part also, given the urgency of the situation. Had the situation not been so urgent, yes, then we also have to look at the longer term aspects, which is ensuring that there is a robust culture, the value system is in place, people are doing regular employee engagement surveys, and the surveys actions are being rolled out after that. So all that is there and very important. But also in the short term, you have to address the problem very quickly. So you can also address the compensation piece. Rest, you are absolutely on the right lines.
Sir, one thing I would like to add, as this case already shows, there are multiple opportunities in the neighborhood. So that could be due to the higher rewards and awards or the compensation part.
Right.
But the second line also said that maybe due to the pressure to perform at Teletronics. So this part, how to handle this part? Maybe due to the pressure to perform.
Yes. So that is something where like we saw mentoring, coaching, so that people are able to cope with the pressure. So sometimes the pressure is you cannot do something about other than the workload. We had also talked about workload. The workload should be distributed equally. But even if it is distributed equally and if it is still high, then what the organization can do is to help the employees be able to take that kind of a load, to create that supportive environment through supervisors, through coaching sessions, through mentoring, that how can you improve and deliver your best against such difficult targets.
Giving the example of GE.
Right.
Yeah. But mostly, as per my experience, also this is this extra pressure or undue pressure is the most reason to
Yes,
change the
yes.
company.
Yes, you're right. And while personally I feel that that our workload should be done scientifically. The workload that is expected from any employee, that should be done scientifically. In some companies, we impose too much of workload. Like I was talking about that startup, which had about 40 clients aligned to each individual. So they were not able to cope, and all of them requested a standardization or a rationalization of the workload, and which was then reduced. But had they not asked, then they were just finding it difficult, and people were leaving the organization for better opportunities. So this has to be done very scientifically by any company, and once it is there, they should also then help people be able to take that workload.
Sir, but just one point to add or to understand from you. As a HR manager, because mostly this pressure comes from the immediate boss or the department. Suppose I am working in a sales department. So HR manager's role in deciding that kind of work or pressure, I need to understand because I never worked in HR.
See, when you are a HR business partner, as they are known as HRBPs, so you also know that which manager is handling the team well, which manager is not. Your intel, like you have market intelligence for marketing people. Similarly, HR people have organizational intelligence. So they already know that which manager is very tough nut to crack, which manager is very rude and drives the pressure hard and does not help his team members, which manager probably has that pressure but still helps and works along with his team. So there the HR business partner needs to come in, and especially for those managers who are very hard driving managers, they need to ensure that these managers are given feedback and they are aligned to the overall goals of the organization to control attrition, to improve employee well-being, while balancing the target achievement for every manager and every department. So HR has to play a very proactive role. Sometimes HR feels that they are just there to hire people and manage the payroll. That will not help. They have to play a proactive role if there is going to be a good level of employee engagement in an organization.
Mostly, sir, in this case, like it is BPO, so HR would be very strong, I think. In other companies like FMCG companies or I mean pharma companies, as per my experience, HR manager's role in assigning the task and this performance is very, very, very less.
Yes.
Or they are very, very isolated, I can say.
You are right. You are absolutely right. So in IT and BPO companies, HR is very strong. HR plays a very important role because they are also afflicted by very high attrition rates. There are many companies, IT companies and BPO companies, which see attrition as high as 25% to 30% every month. So therefore, HR has to play a very critical role. Otherwise, they will just lose control on the business. So yes, therefore HR has to play a role. But even in FMCG companies and pharma companies where attrition may not be so high, but HR still can play a very important role. But unfortunately, very often it chooses to be in the background.
Great, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. So thanks. So Vidyut, I think can confirm that today it was much more interactive. We had a good session, and so thank you. It was really enjoyable. So next week we meet at the same time. You have a great Sunday, whatever is left of it, and have a great week ahead.
So
Thank you.
just one request. Actually, I was not well. I was hospitalized
Okay.
for 10 days.
Oh,
So
okay. What happened?
there was some intense abdominal pain and gallbladder stone, a lot of
Okay. Okay.
even pancreas was in inflammation.
Okay.
So I was 10 days hospitalized and 10 days I'm on the rest. So I missed your
Mhm.
session, sir.
Okay.
Do we have your PPTs or something PDF kind of thing?
Yes, yes. I will share the PDFs, and also I think the recording is available. So we can ask Kaushal sir, and he can share the recordings also.
So recordings, so they will share. I will go to the YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
But
So I
with
will be
the
sharing the PPTs.
PPTs will be, sir, very helpful.
Yes. Yes. Sure.
So
I will. Be,
how will you share it to us, sir?
I will be sharing it with Kaushal sir, all the PPTs, and he will be sharing it with the group.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. I hope you are well now.
Yeah, I'm well now. Just
Okay.
better, not well, better now.
Okay.
But I missed your session. I really liked the first session. Then I missed. So anyway, PPT will help, and I will also go to the YouTubes.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, sir. Have a happy weekend now. Happy
Thank
Sunday.
you. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks.
you, sir.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vidya.